Okay, this is episode 3 and constant application again. I'm going to teach about 4 types of loops. And I'll go through them in order. So I'm going to first I'll do a console.readline, just so the program doesn't close. I'll make a variable dim var1 as integer, just so we can use that for testing. I don't know if we're going to need it or not. So we're going to do a do while loop. Now you can put the while at the top or the bottom. I'm going to show you it's at the top first. So do while var1 is greater than 5. So I'm going to say var1 is equal to 8. And then inside the statement, I'm going to put console.writeLine var1. So I'm going to display the value of var1, and then I'm going to decrease it by 1. So I'm going to say var1 is equal to itself minus 1. So this is saying it's equal to itself minus 1. You can do itself plus 1, but we want to make it go down, or else we'll get stuck in an infinite loop, and that's not what you want. In fact, I'll leave it like this so you can see it's just going to accumulate and stuck in an infinite loop, and you don't want that. So you want to say minus 1. So this will go down each time. So it's going to say that, and it didn't display it because of the way this roundness is. If I put this here, and you can just move statements by dragging it like this, and then that should say to 5. It doesn't say the 8 because it doesn't display, it does it that many times. You can see why. So the only difference is I'm going to make a variable here. So I'm going to make a boolean. I've not used that before. So I'm going to make it equal to false. So you say do while var1 is equal to true. Now this won't happen. It's not going to go inside, and it's not going to do anything because it's checking it before it goes in. If you move it down to the bottom, then it will go in without checking it, and then it's just going to do that. But yeah, it's going to go in without checking itself. So then you could do in here var1 is equal to false or something. But yeah. So that's the difference if you put it at the top or the bottom. You can do a do until loop. So do until var1 is equal to true. Now this is the same as saying do while var1 doesn't equal true. If you know what I mean. So this returns true or false. It's an expression, so it does return true or false. So you can just put not while, and in fact you can make the other 2 loops that I'm going to say this episode with a do while loop if you just put not statement. And yeah, so this is the reverse, and yeah, so it is the reverse of what it did before. Pretty self-explanatory. So now I'm going to be showing you the for loop. So for is how you do it. You say I, because why not? I is a good letter to choose. You don't use Z, X, or Y because that's used for coordinates. A and B are used for like testing start variables. I is nice in the middle. Why not? I'm sure it's got a reason for most people using I, but it's good generally for that reason as well. So this actually declares a variable itself, I, but after the statement's been executed and finished with it, deletes the variable. So take that into consideration. So you say I equals 0 to 5. Now what this is going to do is it's going to do something 5 times. So we could have done a do while loop, but this is better, it's quicker. So I'm just going to say I. So I'm going to display what's in I. So you see, this does it 6 times, because 0 counts as a number. Now you can do the step, and that changes how much it steps by. So 2, 4, and then it it doesn't get stuck in an infinite loop, which is quite good. It doesn't go to 6 because that's past 5. It just stops at 4. But it doesn't get stuck in an infinite loop because it never reaches 5. It just stops, which is quite nice. If you want to make a counter count down, you have to do -5 to 0. Now, if I get rid of this won't work. Oh, that will work. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to say 5 to 0. So 5 to 0 won't work because it needs to count down. If you want to make it count down, you have to do step -1. Bearing in mind, by default, it steps +1. So it's default. And that will work because then it goes down by 1 every time. Finally, the final type of loop I'm going to show you is the for each loop. So I'm going to make a string here. So for string is equal to hello world. So I'm going to say for each, and then you don't want to use I because that's getting confused with the for loop. So most people use item. So for each item, you can say as string if you want, but it's not needed. In the string, and then oh, not in string, in var1. And you press enter and it gives you a next statement to finish off. So I'm going to show you what this does. It just it can be only used in certain things, but it's quite useful. So you can't use this on an integer, char, boolean, any of them things you can't use it on. But a string is like has different items in it, which is different characters. So you can see there it prints it on different lines. So that's quite useful to know. So this kind of only works on strings. It works on other things later on, like arrays when we get to that, list boxes, things that have items in, multiple items. Then you can use that on. And if it's a string array, you can use it. You can use a nested for each loop because yeah, I'll get into that later on.